As an anti-Zionist professor,
Yes.
what do you think about Israel? How did you enter those places in Palestine as an Israeli Jew?
You just enter, man.
He's an Israeli Jew. What do you think about the Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu?
He's a joke. He's a brutal dictator. And
What do you think about the Ultra-Orthodox Neturei Karta?
They are very primitive. There is no charm in them. Judaism is a charmless religion. Islam is also a very charmless religion.
Hello there. We in the Moshe Fabrikant podcast. First of all, we have here Professor Amir Hetsroni, which is considered like an anti-Zionist Jew. You're sitting next to me. How are you?
Great. May I correct you?
Yes.
We have with us Professor Amir Hetsroni, who is an anti-Zionist, not Jew, but anti-Zionist Israeli.
I thank you for the correction. And Ido Amiaz from the channel The Salukie.
yes, the Salukie.
What you were doing in this channel?
I show the reality in the occupied West Bank, the struggles, the daily life. And I do journalism, whether it's in the villages that get attacked by settlers almost daily, whether it's in the refugee camps, or whether it's in the big cities. I just show the dire reality of life in Palestine.
So may I ask you both, what do you think that people abroad, worldwide, don't see about the Israeli-Palestinian conflict? May we start with Ido first?
I think that something that they don't see is that there is actually a lot of coexistence, that there are many places in which Israelis and Palestinians do get along. For example, the Palestinian villages inside Israel. Yes, there are cases on both sides, but overall, there's a lot of people that are living happily together, that are doing business together. In the city of Haifa, where I'm from, we hang out together, we grow up together. I hang out in a cafe in Haifa where it's blatantly Palestinian, and everybody there loves and accepts me, even though I'm Jewish or whatever. So I think that's something that people online don't see, is that there is a lot of coexistence and there is a path to move forward.
Mm-hmm. So,
and there is even co-resistance, where we resist the occupation together, where there's Israeli Jews that are fighting against what Israel is doing, etc.
So, Professor Hetsroni, you're an anti-Zionist, yeah? What do you think about this thing that maybe people worldwide don't see about the Israeli-Palestinian conflict?
Well, let's start with the fact that Gaza, whatever you want to call it. No, there is depends on your accent, depends from which side, from what kind of Arabic accent do you have. So Gaza has been closed to journalists since the beginning of the war, since October 7th. And therefore, what the world sees, and also what Israeli sees, is very, very limited view of the reality there, of the hardship there.
And there is an hardship.
There is definitely a hardship. I mean, come on, after 2 years of fighting and destruction in such a small place, obviously there are signs and marks. So the world is not really completely exposed to this because Israel doesn't let journalists move freely there. The only way to cover Gaza from within Gaza is if you are escorted by an Israeli representative of the IDF or the IOF. Again, depends on your political perspective. And of course, what you're going to get is then a kind of a propaganda trip. This is one thing that the world does not see. Another thing that the world does not see, again, more or less the cousin of Gaza, is what happens in Israeli prisons. The world is not really aware of the fact that most of the Palestinians who are held as detainees in Israeli prisons have never been set on trial. Not only that there has not been fair trial, there was no trial whatsoever. Actually, most of them are captured and sit there forever until somebody decides to do something about them.
So you're saying it's not a democratic move, per se?
Yeah, you can say so.
Okay.
I think also something that the world doesn't really know is about the West Bank in general. The West Bank is land that was occupied in 1967 in the Nakba. And people just don't know what it is. I was really surprised when I gave a speech in Italy, in Sicily. And people just didn't know what the West Bank is. They were targeting all of the questions towards me and my journalist colleague to questions about Gaza, but they weren't aware of the West Bank even existing, and these were people that were very loquacious in the topic of Palestine. So,
in terms of Judah and Samaria, the Western Bank,
yeah. So people are just not aware of its existence or what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What do you think is the biggest thing that they don't know about the West Bank?
Israel intentionally occludes the distinction between Arabs living within the Green Line, what we call Palestinians from 48, and Arabs living in the West Bank, Palestinians from 67, and obviously Palestinians living in Gaza were also Palestinians from 67, but are under totally different conditions. And the reason that Israel occludes these distinctions is because within the borders of Israel, the Arabs from 48 enjoy more or less emphasis on less, but there is also a place for the more. They enjoy more or less a reasonable life. They have citizenship, they have the capability to work freely, to move freely, etc. And Arabs living in the West Bank have zero, more or less. But in the eyes of Israel...
I would just like to add that even then, just this week, we heard of a case where a 48 Palestinian woman was beaten up on her 9th month of pregnancy. The perpetrators are known, and nobody did anything to persecute them.
On the week of the 14th, because it's going to be uploaded next week.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, but this is an exception of the rule. Obviously, nobody would deny, even I wouldn't deny as an anti-Zionist, that Arabs who are living within the borders of Israel, or Palestinian 48, do have citizenship rights. And it is true that they are still, in a way, a minority and oppressed in their own land, but their situation is radically different from the situation of Arabs in the West Bank. And Israel, again, dilutes intentionally this distinction in order to show to the world, well, we give complete full rights to Arabs. What do they want from us? And then, of course, they bring all of those token Arabs like Yosef Haddad, and recently also Nas Daily started to do videos about Israel.
Which you don't like their work.
They all look to me like AI. They all look to me like AI.
It's they're just bootlickers.
Why? Why do you think so?
You know what a bootlicker is?
Yes, I understand.
Because they're just using themselves as, like you said, token Arabs which are, repeating the Zionist propaganda that Arab citizens of Israel have equal rights, etc., etc. And like you said, they obfuscate the difference between Arabs in the West Bank, Palestinians in the West Bank, Gaza, and Israel, and they don't say that they're living under apartheid, under oppression.
But Ido, isn't there like a reasonable thought in that? Because the Arab Israelis are, for the most part, they can sometimes say, okay, I support Hamas from afar, but it's still they still like enjoy and act well in Israel.
No, sorry, I have to stop you here. An Arab or any Israeli actually who would say I support Hamas from afar is going to end up in a prison cell.
Okay,
it's simply illegal in Israel.
Okay,
whether it is, in my view, okay for it to be illegal is a different question, but it is illegal.
There is no doubt that the 48 Arabs, the 48 Palestinian citizens of Israel have a better life than Palestinians in the West Bank, and definitely than Gaza, yes.
Okay, I agree. And is it that because of them not trying to coexist with us fairly with two states and not trying to conquer Israel?
They were never offered a real two-state solution.
What do you mean by that?
I mean that in the Camp David summit, when they were offered a two-state solution, that all of the right-wing talking points like to say, but the Palestinians were offered two states and they didn't want to take it. They weren't offered an airport. They weren't offered control of the land. They weren't offered any of this.
Seriously?
Look, in my view, the question whether they were offered a fair deal or an unfair deal is not so significant. It is significant and important historically. But with all due respect, the Arabs who are now, most of the Arabs in the West Bank who are living now, were not even alive when the first Camp David Accord from 1978 took place. And like probably half of them were not alive when the Camp David talks of 1999 took place. And it doesn't matter whether the deal that was offered and put on the table 30 years ago was generous or not generous. So what? You mean to say that if the deal that Israel suggested in 30 years ago was very, very generous and the Palestinians erroneously did not take it, it means that the current generation of Palestinians has to live under oppression and occupation.
Okay, but there's an historical context. Like you're saying, it's a double-edged sword in your argument, because if you're disregarding all those Camp David events and saying, okay, those deals don't matter, then let's disregard the Nakba. Let's disregard all those events that were prior to that.
I don't think they don't matter. I think they weren't offered a real two-state solution.
No,
and I think that most people in the West Bank, from my personal experience as somebody who lives in the West Bank and has been for
Where
half a
you
year.
was, explain to me.
I lived in Ramallah for 2 months and now Nablus for 4 months. Right?
And what was your experience there?
My
for the most
experience
part?
is that people just want to be able to live good lives and be able to raise their family and not have to worry about the occupation forces killing their kid when it's being sent to school.
look, Nakba, I have to answer to your query, to your concern. Nakba, in my view, was not only a war crime, but also actually a property crime, because land and property, houses, land, everything was taken from Palestinians and given to Jews. This is in summary, this is the Nakba.
Yeah. Some
Now-
of them left willingly. Some of them we took them from
Doesn't
the
matter.
homes.
Let's again. Let me, for the
Okay,
sake of the discussion, accept the Jewish perspective and say that everyone went willfully because they had some hallucination about reconquering the land, and nobody was expelled, which is of course not true. But let's accept it for the sake of the argument.
sake of the
For the sake of the argument, all of them said, "I am now flying. Goodbye. See you tomorrow," and there was no tomorrow. Okay.
Okay, I
Now,
meet you. Okay.
does it give green light to Israel to confiscate land and property? Of course not. I mean, look at Jews who were living in Europe before World War II. Are they not trying now to reclaim their property in Germany, in Poland, in Czech Republic, Slovakia, etc.? They do.
They
So
do.
why
Hetsroni himself.
why our land should be
The professor
confiscated?
himself is reclaiming his land in Poland, isn't that right?
There is nothing there, unfortunately, in my case to reclaim, because my grandparents left Poland in 1932. They sold nearly everything, and the only thing I can reclaim is some partial ownership in a very small apartment in a rural town in Poland, where I don't know, own 1/64th of the property, and the total value would be, I don't know, 2,000 shekels. What will I do with it?
But for
Three
the sake of
bambas.
the
But-
but for the sake of the argument, if there was land for you to be inherited or to taken, you could have taken it, right?
Of course, ownership, in my view, I'm not a socialist. I'm pro-Palestinian. I'm not socialist. In my view, ownership is sacred. The Palestinians have the right to their property in Israel, property that they left or were expelled, forced to live in 1948, and they have the right to the property whether they left willfully or not willfully. The fact that you were left willfully does not let the preparator, the person who took the ownership of this place, to have ownership. Just imagine if I went abroad, okay, and for one reason or another decided not to come back. I started a new life.
I just want to say what he did claim from Poland is a citizenship, which is another
This
issue
is
with the
true.
Palestinians. He claimed his I claim my Romanian passport. He claimed his Polish passport, and the Palestinians that were kicked out here in 1948, many of them, or even the majority, cannot even visit
But because we want to
historical Palestine.
because we want to still have this ownership of Jewish of this Jewish control over Israel, and if we would bring all those Arabs or the Palestinians rather, and also let's just say Israelites, even for the sake of other argument, we will lose this control over the sovereigns as an Israeli land.
Okay,
So
what are you suggesting as an alternative? What are you suggesting as an alternative compensation?
And why is it okay for you to go back to Poland and get your passport as a
Okay,
Jew? Why? How are they different? Because they're Palestinians? It makes it different?
but because this land is the only Jewish land in the world, and they have other Arab lands.
But it's not a Jewish land. That's the problem. The indigenous population of this area, whether it is Israel or called Palestine, doesn't matter to me.
Okay.
The indigenous population of this area has been for over 1,400 years predominantly Arabic. There has been an Arabic majority in Israel until 1948. And it's ridiculous that some wackos from all over the world, with emphasis on third world, are coming and say, "Oh, we were not here 2,000 years ago, it's ours." I mean, are you
And
kidding?
again, like these same people from Morocco, for example, the Jews from Morocco, they can go and get citizenship because they were in the 15th century in the Iberian Peninsula. They can get Portuguese citizenship. Make it make sense.
I understand what you're saying. You're saying that's not right, and that's not right. That's not just what you're saying. Like this thing that is happening.
Yeah, it's not about being pro-Palestine. It's about being pro-justice.
Mm-hmm.
Again, two wrongs don't make a right. If you don't want to let them return, you have to come with an alternative compensation, which Israel not only didn't come, never even thought about offering.
They didn't even think about offering. Also, Palestinians have roots to the land because they were typically an agrarian society, which is why they love the land so much, which is why they write books about it in poetry and they dream about return.
But
No, but the fact that somebody had some potato field in the suburbs of Tel Aviv 100 years ago does not mean that he can now get a potato field in that specific occasion, because on that specific occasion right now, unfortunately, there is an ugly apartment block. So he should get some compensation. Usually the way to I'm capitalist, I'm not a socialist, I said it already. So usually the way to compensate for damage, for injustice, is financial. Sometimes you can compensate directly with returning what you reclaim, what you lost. And in many cases, most of the times, you compensate financially. But Israel has not offered any kind of compensation. Israel didn't even acknowledge the fact that there was a
But
crime.
again, first of all, with the Aliyahs, that it was in the 19th century, in 1882, okay, that we started.
Jewish immigration.
The
for
Jewish
context,
immigration, the first one, and the Rothschilds and all of that, and buying the land, and we can say also the Balfour Declaration, that it was...
Balfour Declaration is some colonialist,
But again, it was controlling the land.
Colonialist European entity is dividing or giving something that doesn't even belong to it. What right does the UK have to give Israel to Jews?
Especially
Or
when
to
it's...
give, I don't know, to give Mauritius to the Mauritianis or to whatever.
Yeah,
Are
one,
you kidding me?
who the fuck are they? Number two, it's they're giving them based on a theocratic idea, while the founders of Zionism were not even religious Jews.
They weren't, They were atheists.
They were atheists.
This is, in my view, a very marginal point. Who cares if Weizmann or Ben Gurion
but there
were
is.
observant
Yeah,
people?
but because the claim was that it's Jewish land. That was the
from
claim.
2,000 years ago, it was
No,
promised to
the
us.
major counter argument is that this land was never British. Actually, it was not. Israel was not even a British colony. It was a mandate. They have the right to decide who will get it. Who are they? Who puts them in that position, for goodness sake?
But what happened was a void when the British mandate left. They had a legitimizing by the Balfour Declaration, and there was a void, and they capitalized on that void.
Look, what happened, happened. The question is now, how do you settle this conflict? How do you compensate? How do you reach some reasonable compromise?
And the answer is that they don't want to. They don't want to. They want
Jewish
this to go on
people.
forever. America, the Jewish people, the West.
Again, but let's just say that, okay, we compensate them. Let's just say we build them an airport, and let's just say we give them the ability to have, I don't know, via water business, okay? I think, personally, they will try to take all of Israel, all of the land, also Jerusalem. And
So far, the party that has been trying to expand its presence in this land has been systematically, consistently for decades.
Yeah.
The Jewish part, the Jewish side, not the Palestinian side. The Palestinian territory has been shrinking by law because of Israel's jurisdictional activities for ages, for
Look,
decades.
the current president of Palestine, not that I'm a big fan or something, but even he says...
Abu Mazen? Or who?
Yeah, Abu Mazen, Mahmoud Abbas.
Mahmoud Abbas.
Even he says Dawlatain. He even says two-state solution.
But the
So
problem...
how can you say that they wouldn't accept it? You're concerned that they would accept it and then they would try and conquer the rest of Israel.
They will try to, yes.
So hypothetically, everything can happen. Hypothetically,
Hamas was with intention in the October 7th to hurt Israeli people. And if they could have, they went to Tel
But the
Aviv.
context of October 7 was a lingering oppression and occupation. Now, it doesn't justify the October 7th acts, but it does put things in context. Israel is treating the Arabs more or less like you treat rabbits in a cage and expects to be greeted with flowers and honey and coffee.
I agree.
And sweets.
I understand that they have the ability to resist the resistance that we put on them, okay? But let's just say that they, in the independence war, they could have had the land. We could have lived in a two-state solution. They choose not to, and they lost the war.
Who cares about a war that took place 90 years,
So
80
why do we
years
care
ago?
about the Nakba? And why
Because
we care
it's property. I'm not now saying that we should now criminalize and put and prosecute Israeli soldiers from 1948 if you manage to find any, because the average age of the soldiers is now above 90.
Yeah.
Those who are still alive.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying that if an Arab had property in Jaffa, in Bet Shean, in Isdud, particularly in Ashkelon, that should be wiped off the map. The sooner
Ashkelon,
your
yeah.
Ashkelon, yes. How could you grow up in such an awful place and still
I did
become a
not
human
choose it.
being and still become a human being? It's one of the magics of creation, and I'm not a religious guy. Anyway, so we should find a way to compensate the people, the families, for the property they lost. We are not going to turn back the clock. Arabs are not going now to inhabit Ashkelon, even though the expulsion from Ashkelon in 1950 was a war crime. But unfortunately, there is oblivion here in this case. You are not going to turn back the clock. We are not going to kick your family from Ashkelon and bring them back. Although, again, maybe it would not be such a bad idea, but it's not going to
because
happen.
of the state of Ashkelon
Because of what Ashkelon is, yes.
Yeah, but let's just say that you would say that if you would give them money, for example, because we will not just let them the right of return, okay? If you will give them money, will it make you sit more peacefully with that thing, with that thought?
It would be at least a bit more justified. The situation.
Okay. Will it make the situation better?
Yes, because I mean, if you
not
are
all the time pragmatic.
No, but you are eventually reaching a settlement. It's like a divorce. You have to settle the terms.
Mm-hmm.
Because Israel actually, what Israel was enacting is a unilateral divorce in which Israel sets the terms and totally predominates the whole process. And you cannot have a divorce like that.
Sometimes divorces are bad, man. What can we do? But Ido, what do you want to add something to the discussion right now in terms of the Palestinian and even will give them also money for the right of property, because we will not give them property.
I think that they should. I personally believe that they should have a right of return, just like a Jew, just like because your dad was Jewish, then you could come here and get full citizenship. I think if somebody that was indigenous to the land should more so have that right.
Again, in that case, we will use the right as sovereigns of our land. That can be existential.
In my view, actually, the immigration to Israel should be smaller and not larger because of the density problem. Israel is now the densiest country in the Western world, sans Hong Kong, Singapore. That's
Really?
it. Yeah. Because the people here don't know how to use contraception, and the outcome is eventual.
Condoms
is a good solution, but I don't know if the indigenous population here, regardless of ethnicity, is capable of using it. So, therefore, the solution is not to conduct a fertility or immigration competition between Jews and Arabs, where both parties would compete on who would make this place more dense, more crampy, more like a pigsty, but rather to say, okay, what happened. We are from now on curtailing the size of the population. We are compensating all those who were discriminated or those who lost the property. That's it. I mean, no solution is perfect, but even if I simply take your approach. One has to be pragmatic. And to be pragmatic is not to let, like you suggest, all of a sudden millions of Palestinians return. And also not to bring from the third world grandchildren of some Jewish grandfather in the name of family reunification, because there is no family reunification here.
No, I think if it's only fair. If he can do it, then they should also be able to do it.
He shouldn't be able to do it.
But you will lose.
Yes, I agree. He shouldn't be.
But you will lose this great thing that is Israel. And now
There is nothing great about Israel.
Nothing great about Israel.
No, but let's just say that.
Nothing great about Britain, tea and biscuits.
But let's just say this objectively speaking, okay? In terms of the country and what it gives you as a kid, as...
What it gives you, like I came from South Africa to such a shitty education system where there's no respect to the teachers, where people are loud and obnoxious. What the hell does it give you?
The people
Like,
here are the most happy in the world. The people here have beach.
But pigs are also very often happy in a pigsty. Ants are also very, very happy to worship the ant queen. So what? Inferior creatures can be very, very happy because they are unaware of the alternatives.
So you think we are unaware?
And by the way, I also, with all due respect, beg to differ. I'm not sure that Israelis are really so satisfied, because if they were so satisfied with their life here, why on earth are they standing online for dubious European passports from countries that are not exactly the lions of Europe, like Portugal or Lithuania?
Because the European Union is united and you can go live in Switzerland with that passport.
Okay, but the fact
anyway,
is, if Israelis were so satisfied with their life here, they wouldn't be standing online for foreign passports.
No, they're not. Every Israeli complains and says how shit it is and how much they want to leave. And again, there really isn't anything great about Israel. The education is terrible. Nothing works in the system. You have some fucking rain and people die.
Yeah.
You know, like literally in my hometown, people die when there's rain sometimes.
Really?
Yeah, people die like when there's floods inside the city. Nothing here works. Nothing.
You're talking about Nahariya.
Yeah, Nahariya.
Because of the Delta of the Gaton. The Delta of the Gaton is one of the world's 7 magics, but it's the hidden magic. Nobody
The
knows
seven
about.
wonders of the world.
Yeah, 7 wonders of the world, but nobody knows about this 7 wonder.
I
This
just got
specific
caught picking
wonder
my nose
because it's like dry 364 days and 23 hours of the year, and then there is 1 hour when it comes alive and you see the full splendor and the magic.
Fuck.
But the worst thing about
You
Israel
never
is...
visited, huh?
Nah, never.
You were stuck in Ashkelon.
Welcome, come to my dad's house.
I'll come.
Yeah.
He has a view of the Delta of the Gaton.
No, he's not that rich. That's the silly
You don't have to be so rich to see
at
to have a
least
view of the
allegedly.
Gaton.
sentence. The worst thing about it is the culture or the lack thereof in Israel.
Actually, the culture is the worst part.
The culture is terrible. Like you want to get off the train and people don't let you get off of the train here. People don't stand in line. There's always screaming and shouting.
I think the people in Israel are very warm, man.
Of course they are warm because they like to hear Mediterranean singers who are often inflicted with sexual crimes. Did
Allegedly. With Eyal Golad.
And Moshiko Mo!
I'm telling you this as somebody who traveled the world. There's a very big lack of culture here.
Lack of culture.
Yeah, there is no culture. Like the culture is to scream and shout. Chutzpah, the Yiddish word.
Okay.
It's ingrained in Israeli society. Everybody has chutzpah. Everybody has audacity and wants to shout at you and tell you what to do.
Yeah,
It's not a pleasant environment.
but let's just say this: the professor.
Your
No.
position is different because you grew up in Ashkelon. So to you, to be so obnoxious and to be so impolite, it's normality. You don't even understand that there is an alternative.
could-
Yeah,
better.
I came from the south to the Africa, homie. I came from South Africa. You know, it's a different society. And you think Africa, oh, they must be peasants. But no, quite the contrary. Like African kids were so much more educated than the children here.
Actually,
Yes, when the teacher came into the class, we stood up and we said, "Good morning, Mr. Champion."
Champion.
Champion!
That was his name.
Champion!
That was my teacher's name. Good morning, Mr. Teacher. You understand his last name. Here you shout at the teacher's name, Chagit. You understand?
We love
And
Chagit. She has
lack
two
of culture.
kids,
Lack of culture.
3 husbands, all of that.
She didn't pass the
drinks
psychometric
shitty
exam and
Nescafe.
therefore she's a
Probably.
teacher.
Probably, yeah.
Yes.
She doesn't have a first degree even, and she's a teacher.
Actually, what you're saying now sounds ridiculous, but it is true. I used to have a girlfriend who was
Me too.
Me too as well.
who working as a teacher. Actually, she was the responsible teacher for a class. Not only that she didn't have an academic degree, that motherfucker didn't have a matriculation certificate from high school.
Nah.
Yeah.
And she was a teacher.
Yes.
Once I was guiding around, I went as the tours that Israeli schools go on. I got a temporary job as the guy that walks around with them.
The guidance or
Security.
The security.
And the teacher heard me speaking English on the phone, and she was like, "Wow, with that kind of English, the principal's gonna suck your dick." She told me you could get a job like this in my school. I quote. She said she would suck your dick.
You were working in security.
Just walking around with while they go on trips. Then I went with them.
He's yoked. Look at him and his veins. Yeah. But let's just continue with the thought that we had. Israel, you're saying, isn't that good of a country, as I say it is.
It's posing as a first world country, but there's nothing first world about it.
I mean, there are constant wars.
I would rather raise my kids in Ramallah than in Tel Aviv.
Nah.
I would.
Why?
Yeah. Because in Ramallah you have private schools with such good education, and it's way cheaper.
In Ramallah, you are poor.
No, in Ramallah there's extreme. Well, you should go
You
to
didn't see the famous mall of Ramallah.
Icon Mall. I made a video about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should do your homework.
I should
watch my videos.
I should watch the Salukie, guys. Okay, so let's talk about it. About your adventures, also your knowledge about the Israeli-Palestinian conflict.
Yeah, and also wait, I want to add
Okay.
that Palestinian society is incredibly polite and educated compared to Israelis and compared to the world even.
So you was in Nablus, and you also in Hebron, and you experienced the culture. What did you understand as an Israeli Jew going to those places?
I understood that people there are incredibly more respectful and cultured than Israelis.
Way more?
Yes, way more. Like when they ask for your name, they say, "What is the gentleman's name? Where is the gentleman from?" There is no like mefata. You know what
Where
I mean?
are you from? Like this?
Yeah, like they're not Israeli.
Yeah, there's no temperature that is bad. Let's just say that.
Yeah,
the temperament.
The temperament isn't bad. Everybody's polite and friendly and keeps to themselves and doesn't make a racket.
They're reserved.
Yeah, whereas when I was working in hostels all over the world, always Israeli tourists made a fucking mess.
Look, it's also true that Arabic sounds very, very loud. When you hear Arabs talk, it's every time you yasharamut yasharamit.
Yeah, but also there's a difference between the Palestinians of the West Bank and the Palestinians inside 48, inside Israel. The Palestinians inside Israel have been influenced by the shitty Israeli behavior. And they aren't as educated and cultured as the Palestinians in the West Bank.
Let's be honest. Real culture is in Europe, not in the Levant. This is the truth.
Okay.
This is the truth. I don't want. I mean, look. The difference between me and many Israelis who are somehow identified with the left is that they apologize the Palestinians while criticizing Israel. I criticize Israel very, very strongly. I'm not trying to apologize the Palestinians. I think that both nations, compared to first world countries like Germany or Switzerland or Liechtenstein or Austria.
I hate those countries.
All of these, I like them. It's a matter of taste. It's class B. We are tier B. It's not tier 1. Tier B.
But we're not
everything here. Look, everything here is tier B. Architecture tier B. Landscape tier B. There are no high mountains, no waterfalls. Everything is.
But Jerusalem.
What do you mean? It's
Jerusalem.
The land itself is beautiful. I think.
What do you say?
The land is beautiful.
Where it is more? Tell me. Where
you go from
which bay looks better, the bay of Haifa or the bay of Montenegro?
I'm talking about the beauty of driving from Tiberias, for example, to Jericho. The different landscapes that you see from Tiberias to the Dead Sea. So many different things. Israel
landscape is not dramatically enough. Why? Because the mountains here are not high enough. There is not enough water. There is nothing here to tempt you. The landscape-wise, it's mediocre.
It's not diverse enough.
No, diversity is honestly.
In terms of land.
But look, if you, for example, compare Israeli desert, like in the Negev or in Judea desert, you compare it to Sinai Peninsula, to Jordan. Over there, each mountain is what a hell of a red rock. And here, everything is, to put it, sandstone. And on top of that, the people are also, how to put it, not the most beautiful. You saw an Israeli girl. You realize that immediately she
I firmly
needs a
disagree on
diet.
both points. Both points I firmly disagree.
What? You said that Israeli girls are the most beautiful.
Not the most beautiful, but they're fucking hot.
They're fucking hot as fuck.
You have, you need
They
glasses.
are. You was in Tel Aviv in the sea.
Like, put their politics aside, they're kind of hot.
They're hot as fuck.
I'm telling you.
I think
Nine out of 10,
I
nine
think
out of 10.
Hetsroni just hates the place so much that he starts to see it as ugly. You know, like the opposite of the mermaid.
Look,
I think it's also
Israeli
tasted
girl that is
awkward.
Israeli girl who is in your eyes hot by European standards, she's around average.
But it's your taste. Your taste is different,
yeah, it's
man.
a matter of taste.
You like them in Auschwitz style.
Yes.
I think the land is beautiful. The women are beautiful. Palestinian women are beautiful too.
What is beautiful also?
The land.
What is beautiful about the land?
The beaches,
Look,
the
beach,
desert,
okay,
the
beach.
mountains.
Where do you
And
find
the bitches.
The bitches.
Where is the seashore more picturesque? In Crete or in fucking Tel Aviv?
But
Huh?
again,
What again? I'm
in
true.
Crete, they are so beautiful, objectively speaking.
Look, the seashore, we simply, although it's considered the promised land,
I think
Israel, landscape-wise, is not really so gorgeous. And maybe the fact that Jews think that this is the promised land shows how distorted their mind view is. Because with all due respect, the eastern seashore of the Mediterranean is the most boring and not picturesque part of the Mediterranean. Compare the Adriatic Riviera, the French Riviera, the Italian Riviera, even the fucking Albanian Riviera. Compare this to the marina in Ashkelon and tell me where is it better looking.
There is scuba there.
and I think that the coast of Eilat. The coast of Eilat is like one of the most beautiful beaches I've seen in the world.
Okay, so I'm telling
and
you,
I've traveled the world. I've traveled the world in the seven seas.
Eilat looks like a preparation for Sinai. The mountains small, the beach crowd, the hotel stucky, the food full of plant oil. Everything here is so.
So what do you prefer? Fucking German food?
Of course.
I hate German food.
Yeah, he loves Europe.
Look, if you go,
I love the Mediterranean of Europe. I love Italy, Spain,
Look,
Greece.
if you go to Germany, or even better,
No,
to
thank you. I don't want to go.
Or even better to Switzerland.
Pay me, I wouldn't go.
Nobody's going to pay you to
Switzerland, I
go
haven't
there.
been, so I would.
Switzerland seems like a good country.
I haven't been, so I'm not going
Look,
to judge.
Look, an Italian restaurant in Switzerland would be better normally than an Italian restaurant in Italy.
Actually.
Why? Because they pay! They pay you over there. You don't eat a pizza for 7 euros. You eat a pizza for 27 francs, but you get better ingredients, you get better produce. Everything there is better. What you pay is what you get. And in Israel, you pay like this and you get that.
I agree. Okay.
I agree things are overpriced.
And
cost of living
think
is
about
shitty.
it. Think about it. Who would immigrate to Israel? The person who has no
I
option
think the
to
food is
immigrate to
incredible.
Switzerland. If you are,
the most
Moshe, let's talk about you for a
I'm-
second. You're coming from Azerbaijan, in a way.
In a way.
In a way.
Azerbaijani,
If your
half
father
Belarusian.
could, if your father
Yes.
could immigrate to Switzerland, would he have immigrated to Ashkelon?
He would,
Let's ask
he
him
would-
now.
he
Let's
would-
talk
he
to
would
him.
say not. He would say no because he wants to connect to the land of the Jewish land and all of that. But I think he would go to Switzerland for fucking sure.
Of course. So in other words, what you get in Israel is class B, those who had no option overseas, Jews who had no option. And this, by the way, also explains why those Moroccan Jews and Jews from Maghreb country, from in North Africa, they claim all the time, how come those of us who immigrated to France are so successful and so bright and so smart and so highly educated and so rich, whereas here we live in Ashkelon? And the answer
Because
is
in Ashkelon, instead of studying, they shout death to Arabs.
no, because right from the start, those who were more capable and more talented and richer and more successful
Went to
immigrated to France, and those who had no other option went to Ashkelon. And surprise, after 70 years, the shit that immigrated to Ashkelon remains shit, and the good part that immigrated to France remains good. C'est la vie.
I mean, there is a point that there is not point, or because you see what happens to France right now with the Muslim immigration also.
There are more, the share of Muslims in Israel, the share of Arabs in Israel is by far higher than the share of Arabs in any European country. Cut the bullshit.
But again, they're ruining the Western world. Or some of them at least. Of course, not all Muslims. Let's be real. Okay?
Are we experts about Islam in Europe, or are we experts about Israel? Do you want us to talk about Islam in Europe? It's a different discussion.
Are your neighbors okay with this? Hetsroni is screeching.
Okay, let's return to the discussion again. Okay, about Israeli politics, okay? Let's talk about the right-wing politics. There's Ben Gvir, there's Smotrich. A lot of the people worldwide say they're Satan, they are bad people, and all of that. How do you explain those people, Ben Gvir and Smotrich, before we talked about also Netanyahu, the president himself?
They live in a universe of their own.
Explain to me.
In their universe, it is justified to discriminate Arabs because we are the chosen people in the chosen land.
Mm-hmm.
Full stop.
Ido?
I think that the fact that these people are in power is a reflection of how Israeli society, the majority of them supports taking over Palestine from the river to the sea.
I think there is a lack of discussion about the Israeli-Palestinian conflict and explaining of history as well in terms of Zionism, right?
Lack of discussion where?
Everybody's talking about it.
Yeah, but we are not knowledgeable enough about this discussion. Also in Israel. You think? You agree? Because you don't see the overcomplicated sense of the Arabs and their perspectives. You are saying they are our enemies, they should die. Therefore, we should vote Ben Gvir or Smotrich because they will.
I would say something.
I
really
think
different.
that it's deliberate. Your screen's black. I think that it's deliberate that
Really?
people. Yeah, I think that nobody shows life in the West Bank on mainstream Israeli TV like I do.
Okay, agree, fair.
They don't want them to see that. They don't want them to see that they're good, polite people like I described them. See what I'm saying?
Professor Hetsroni, what do you, Professor Hetsroni?
Israel intentionally already said it in a way, dilutes the history and the legacy of Palestinians in this land. Because the story that they tell at school is that Israel was always a Jewish state, and all of a sudden came some temporary occupiers, and now we are back to normality. Whereas in practice, the Jewish rule of this land has been quite short in time. I mean, there was Judaic kingdom in First Temple era, then partly independence in the Second Temple era, but most of the history was not Jews were not predominating and not controlling the country, and actually they were a very, very small minority here. But this is the story that they want you to tell. And it's not honestly very different.
Even in Ashkelon, when they show the house of a Palestinian rich man, they just said a rich man from the Ottoman Empire. Because
really?
Because
to delegitimize it.
To erase Palestinian history. There's a big effort to erase Palestinian history and the existence of them as a people even. That's one of the right-wing talking points, that Palestinians never existed as a people.
Nationalistic countries do that. I mean, you can see it, for example, in Europe, in Western Poland, because Western Poland has been predominantly for centuries a German territory. Okay, but when you go to a historical museum in Gdansk, previously Danzig, or in Wrocław, previously Breslau, you will see very, very, very minor recognition of the fact that it is actually a historically German city where population was expelled against their will. So in that regard, Israel is not an exception of the rule, but the fact that Israel is not an exception of the rule does not make it just. It only makes it one more crime.
Mm-hmm. Okay, again, just to clarify your point on Israel, as an anti-Zionist professor,
yes,
what do you think about Israel?
Look, if we were now 80 years younger, I would not even have established this fucked up country, a country that did nothing good to me in person, and yes, I am personal, a country that is even refusing to accept and recognize my invalidity, and because of who I am, they don't pay me invalidity wages like they pay others. Of course, they say they have better reason that I can work, and I'm fully invalid and incapable of working. Doesn't matter to them.
You're 50%. You have disability.
50%, and I don't know a single soul with my disability percentage who does not receive some payment from there. I'm the only one. Maybe there is another one, I don't know, living in somewhere. But again, this country has done nothing good to me. And this country has done a lot of, it's just a small thing. I mean, they confiscated my property. They took 3 years of my life for military service. But
what did you do there? You was a journalist.
But why did I have to go there in the first place? Why should I waste 3 years of my life on a fucked up country that takes immigrants from Azerbaijan because they have a Jewish grandfather like you? Why on earth should I spend 3 years?
He's one of the good ones. I'm happy they brought Moshe.
Thank you, man. Thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
Look, Moshe, I like you.
Oh, thank you very much.
Very much.
Yeah, me too.
Thank you.
Very much.
Guys.
But I want to be honest with you.
Okay.
When did your father immigrate?
In 1993.
Okay. If we were now in 1993, what was his occupation, if I may ask?
Wow, I don't fucking know. He did a lot of things differently.
Not a doctor.
He was not a doctor.
Something
Nothing.
manual.
His first jobs in Israel was working in a restaurant in Haifa.
Look, don't take it personally.
I'm not personally.
But I might have closed the door on him.
Really?
I know it's hard to accept. I'll tell you why. It's not because I don't like you. I very much like you personally.
Thank you.
You are my friend.
Thank you.
But...
Am I your friend?
Yes. But now we are with Moshe. But even though I'm your friend, I want to have elevated immigration to Israel. I want to have immigration based on merit and not based on dubious blood connection. If your father had a fiancé in Israel, if he had some I don't know, really proven connection, it's a different story, even though probably he's not the most educated person. Can I guess that he doesn't have academic degree?
For sure not.
Yeah. So even though I would have accepted him, but otherwise, you know what? You now explain to me why we should accept your father or people like him who now want to immigrate to Israel. Explain to me, only because they have a Jewish grandfather. Convince me. I'm willing to be convinced. I'm open-minded.
Again, if I'm saying this, I don't have like a pragmatic reasoning for it, okay? Because it's a religious intent behind it. But again, let's just flip the script.
Your father is exactly like some immigrant, work migrant from India, Bangladesh, or Syria, who knocks on the door of Switzerland and says, Switzerland, please take me, I like Toblerone. It's not convincing.
I understand what you're saying. But again, let's just flip the script for a second. Let's just say this for also Palestinians or Arabs. Why for us to take them in? If
they're indigenous! They have been living here for ages, whatever.
Indigenous. They're ingenious.com.
But okay, let's just take this from the subjective discussion. I'm talking about as much as we can an objective overview of the land of Israel. What is your what do you think about Israel, objectively speaking, not subjectively?
First, I cannot really make the distinction. Maybe you can. Maybe you are a genius, not only indigenous, but also a genius who can make the distinction between objective and subjective. I don't think that we can really differentiate and distinguish the two. But if I try...
I mean, you can talk about, for example, sexual relationships that you had objectively with all other people that you saw or statistics, and not put your own subjective experience.
So now we're talking about sex, huh?
Let's change the topic.
Let's change the topic. But we understood what I said.
Look, objectively, Israel is a country that is ranked in the lower tier of the first league, or maybe the highest tier of the second league of the world. This is our position. Good, bad, let's say worse than Switzerland, worse than Germany, better than Niger, Mali, and Bangladesh. This is our position, more or less. And you can see it when you are examining and comparing GDP per capita, when you are comparing quality of life, when you are comparing standard of living. In almost any rank, Israel, or even passport index, Israel is not ranked first. It's not only also not ranked 157. It's ranked around place number 30, something like that, which
Not
is
that impressive.
like if it was like, let's say, a football World Cup. It's a country that did reach the tournament, but disqualified in the first round.
I understand.
Yeah.
The Salukie, you're a Jewish Israeli. What do you think about Israel?
I told you what I think about Israel.
But let's just put it into one, like, short.
One word: colonialism.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's basically Jews came, colonized Palestine, built a shitty state with a shitty culture.
Okay, let's just take it abroad into the social media realm, okay?
Okay.
There is this discussion in Twitter, for example, on X, talking about Israel first, that some people take part in it. Like Ben Shapiro, for example.
Like saying that it's not America first, it's Israel first?
Yes. Because they're giving this a lot of different explanations, but like Israel is the important ally, we should protect
Israel
them.
is basically a military base in the Middle East for the US.
Yes.
Look, the problem is that you are relying on people who recommend abstinence before marriage. So, I don't know, their mind is so twisted to begin with. What can you expect of all of these Charlie Kirks?
You don't like Charlie Kirk.
No, and let me also clarify, it's not that in any way I could have supported his assassination. But whether I liked him, no, I think the man was primitive. I think that he was totally unaware of the fact that we are now not living in the Middle Ages. I didn't find any gospel in what he offered. As a man, not even Israeli, not even Jew, I totally reject his idea that I should finance a woman. Why on earth I should finance anyone? I mean, I can finance a dog because a dog is incapable of working, but a woman is capable of working. Why should I finance a woman if we go out together and have a coffee? She can pay her own bill. I will pay my bill. No, I didn't like him.
I mean,
You liked him?
let's
How
just
you
say this.
stutter, yes.
No, let's just say this. I
jerked off to him a few times.
There's some videos like that right now after his death, jerking off to him. That's bad. That's bad as fuck. But let's just put my thought into it. I appreciate people who are doing big things, but my personal thoughts about his thought is that 90% I did not agree. 80%. That's it.
Look, the fact that these people are the heroes of the new right or alt-right or as you name it shows how thin their ideology, how thin and distorted. I mean, and
It's
how
not even alt-right. It's not even alt-right. He's considered right in the US.
Considered a conservative.
Yeah. He's not considered,
ultra-conservative.
he's not considered like a Nick Fuentes. Not close to him even.
Nick Fuentes is considered alt-right.
Yeah, exactly.
Look, again, the problem with all of these folks, which, you know what, if I go back also to Israel, I would say that it also epitomizes the problem of Israeli right wing is that they are actually self-destructive. Because look, when Charlie Kirk says, you are a man, you should finance a woman, he more or less tells me, Hetsroni, you have to work hard all your life for two. This is what he said. I mean, sorry, this is the implication. And if the Israeli right wing says, we should all volunteer to serve military in the military for 3 years and then do reserve duty for an never-ending number of years, and actually every year go to do military service for I don't know 100 days, 200 days. Yeah, you're actually telling me that I should be a slave in my country for all my life. And I'm trying to figure out the reasoning because, again, Charlie Kirk made a career out of it and sold books and had good life until the traumatic assassination. But what motivation does an American man to support women? What motivation does an Israeli have to serve all his life in the military? I don't get it.
Brainwashing. They've been told that Israel is the best.
But rationality doesn't take over at some point.
No.
No, they've been told that Israel is the best thing since sliced bread their whole life.
And you don't know
And
differently.
that's what they're made to believe. That's why I don't blame them also. I think that they're also the victims. They're victims of brainwashing. People that go and die for nothing in Gaza or anywhere else or in Lebanon, they're also victims because they were stupid enough to buy their nonsense and to be pawns in this game of chess.
Or they're trying to regard this land that they all have, and that's what their fathers had and grandfathers have, and that's the story they're telling, basically.
That's a shame. They're dying for nothing.
Hmm.
They're dying for absolutely nothing. I don't think there's any nation in the world that's worth dying for, to be honest with you. I would never put my life on the line for anything because the earth is all ours to walk barefoot in.
The nation doesn't care about you.
Doesn't care, yeah. There's no place worth fighting for, no place worth dying for. Think about yourself, think about your family, your loved ones. That's enough for a whole lifetime.
But this is what,
don't be nationalistic. What's the point?
but this is what all of those original Charlie Kirks and Israeli version of Charlie Kirk, they don't understand it. They don't accept this very simple psychological fact.
The individualist outlook.
I prescribe them some psychedelic mushrooms.
I don't know what to prescribe them, but they should be definitely take something in order to recuperate and to rehabilitate.
I will ask the Salukie a question, okay? Let's just say this. You are an Israeli Jew and went undercover in Palestine.
Yeah.
What did you understand from Palestine?
Not that undercover. Like, a lot of people knew that I'm an Israeli Jew as soon as I spoke, because even in the beginning I used to speak very bad Arabic. Now my Arabic is all right, but I used to speak terribly. I used to say, instead of Habibi, I would say Habibi. You know, so it was obvious.
There is a difference?
Habibi. You don't hear it?
I understand.
Hummus.
Okay.
So it used to be blatantly obvious that I'm Jewish, but what did I understand? I told you, like, I understood that Palestinian society is incredibly polite and wonderful and giving and hospitable, and they're some of the nicest people that I've met, one of the best nations I've ever met.
On one of the times that you went undercover the Salukie, as an Israeli Jew, you was almost shot at. Can you explain that event?
No, you're talking about when I was shot at in Nablus?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was shot at by the IDF, you know that.
So explain that. What happened?
Basically, there was an IDF invasion in the city of Nablus in the West Bank, and I went down to the city to film. And me, unlike a typical journalist, typically journalists will stand from a distance and cover what's happening, and they would zoom in to the action happening behind them. But I just went down with an action camera in my hand, and I joined the kids that are throwing rocks at the military Israeli vehicles. And I got shot at because they assumed that I was one of them.
They shot you?
They shot at me. I didn't get shot I didn't get harmed.
Yeah.
But I saw the light in the muzzle of the gun, yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah.
How scary was that?
I was very high.
High off of weed.
Yeah, I was very high.
When
on weed.
was
I
it?
smoked two entire joints before I went down.
Jesus, you're crazy as fuck.
That's actually where the word, this was like 3-4 months ago. That's actually where the word hash came from, the word assassin, because people used to get high before they would go and assassinate people in Afghanistan.
Jesus.
So I used it in the right way.
I'm telling you that if, God forbid, something had happened to him, he wouldn't get any money from social insurance in Israel. Because I know social insurance, they don't like those leftists and those, they like people who are more like
righties.
No, like more complicit, and they don't like all of this taking a stand and this. It's too much.
Political stand.
You have to bow down.
Yeah, bow down to the queen. How did you enter those places in Palestine as an Israeli Jew?
You just enter, man. Like, you just take the bus. I mean, I don't even have a car.
Yeah, but there are signs. There is an IDF soldiers there. Like, isn't that hard?
Entering is not a problem. Getting out is a bit more of a problem, but you can get out from a place that looks like you came from an Israeli settlement, and then it's okay. So me, I get out from the normal checkpoints, and because of my look, I just say that I'm a 48 Arab, and they believe it.
So how did you escape, like, Palestine as an Israeli Jew, the Salukie?
How did I leave every time?
Yeah.
I mean, bro, when I lived in Nablus, I used to cross the checkpoint every single day, and I would just tell them that I'm a 48 Arab, and they would believe it.
That's crazy.
I would cross the checkpoint every single day because I would hang out in the Samaritan Mountain, which is like both Area A and C, and I would play basketball there and whatever.
And they don't know this exploit that you are doing?
They didn't realize that I'm lying. No, they thought that I'm a 48 Arab. I speak Arabic well enough, and none of them actually speak Arabic. None of the IDF soldiers in that checkpoint, so they believed it, yeah.
Amir, would you enter Palestine?
He did.
I did, yes.
Yes, you did?
I entered Tulkarem, yes.
So
Nablus, you told me.
Nablus,
like
I didn't.
House.
Not recently, Nablus. No.
As you can see, Amir isn't a big fan of exploring the Holy Land.
No, because it's let's be honest. All of the hot locations in Israel, like say locations that are listed in UNESCO, they are listed there not because of their beauty, but because of some historical significance. For example, people don't know, but did you know that fucking Tel Beersheva and Tel Arad are in UNESCO World Heritage List?
Why?
Why? Because they are reminiscence of very, very, very primitive old settlements. And if you want to know how they lived, 5,000 years ago, go to Beersheva and see how they lived. Okay. By the way, if you go to Beersheva now, it's not so different.
I understand.
Don't expect a lot of difference. But they're not places that call me to say, Hetsroni, visit us. There is nothing exactly mesmerizing in those places. Again, mountains not very high, buildings not very ornamental.
There's a lot
people
of rates
not
there.
very beautiful. Not really. I have to say, I'm always asked, can you say something good about Israel? I don't think that Israel is definitely more violent than Switzerland or Iceland, but it's not the most, violent country in the world.
No,
it's less violent than the US.
Beersheva with the Bedouin.
Oh, Beersheva, it's enough. The Jews in Beersheva have enough violent propensities. They don't have to go as far as Bedouins.
Yeah,
it's Beersheva.
Yeah, we like Beersheva, but okay.
Beersheva, I once wrote about it that it's like the flower that never bloomed in the middle of the desert.
I understand.
Yes.
As an anti-Zionist professor, you went to El-Karem. How was it?
Looked honestly like an Arab town in Israel, a bit poorer. The people there spoke not such good Hebrew as in Israel, within the Green Line. Nothing was different. When you cross the border, they still accept Israeli currency. The food is not different. The landscape is not dramatically different. Again, the roads are, a bit less taken care of or something. But don't expect a difference of day and night.
אני עושה את זה לשort. As an anti-Zionist professor, how was it entering Palestine? Okay, נמשיך. יופי, אחלה. Okay, so you're saying it's not very... Is it very different, though, from the Beersheva, from Ashkelon, from its outlook?
Yes, because the...
Worse, better?
Different.
But,
I would not actually recommend any of them to the tourist who wants to see the splendor of architecture. But Beersheva is a bit on parlor. And actually most of the new Israeli towns that were built after 1948 are actually kind of parlors of Beaton, because they were built during the golden era of brutalist architecture. And so you have a lot of exposed beton, a lot of apartment blocks, Soviet style, and this and that. When you go into an Arab town, whether it is within 48 Green Line or in the West Bank, so it doesn't really matter whether it is Taibe to El-Fahim or to El-Karem and Jenin, you will see that they are designed and structured differently. There is a kind of a center with very, very intricate alleys, and then the whole street structure is not like a grid. Israeli cities are built in a way like a grid because they are modernly designed, and Arab towns are not construed in a grid, and the buildings are actually similarly ugly but less exposed beaten. Don't expect to find a Baroque or Rococo in Israel. Let's say that money is unlimited. Okay,
yeah, just say
unlimited, and you want to buy a classic romantic estate in Israel.
Let's go for it.
You won't find it. It doesn't matter how much you're willing to pay. Even if you're willing to pay $1 billion, you will not find an example that you can buy, because there are no estates like this in Israel. There is no reminiscent of Baroque or Rococo or Renaissance. You want to buy a Renaissance building, and again, money is not the issue. You have an unlimited budget. You won't be able to buy it, because this place was always a peripheral junk landfill. So what you can get is junk.
Okay.
By the way, Israel is not just a very expensive country, particularly in terms of real estate, but it's also a country that probably gives you the worst value for your money, because the poshy and most luxurious and expensive places in Israel that have price tag that surpasses almost all the European cities. I mean, surpasses Paris, surpasses London, definitely surpasses Berlin, surpasses everything you can dream of, surpasses Zurich. What you get for it is eventually a very rank of file apartment with a view of what? Of junk.
Let's just start with this discussion. Let's talk about the Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Okay, I'll start again. Let's start this discussion for both of you about the Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu that a lot of the media considers like a devil. Okay, and I will start with you. The Salukie is an Israeli Jew. What do you think about the Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu?
I think that he's a brute.
He's a brutal.
He's a joke, man.
Why?
He's a joke. He's a brutal dictator, and he's been in power ever since I was a kid. For real, ever since
Maybe
I was born
because
into
he's
him.
so popular. Maybe it's like Leonardo DiCaprio, never went out of style.
Maybe the fact that he's so popular says something about Israeli society, to be honest with you.
But
Something not very good.
But let's just say this: it's not a. Let's just
You
say,
see, even
no,
our leaders, not only the architecture here is second league, not only that the landscape is second tier, also the leaders are third class.
I don't know. I think Netanyahu is smart as fuck. Let's just say that. He knows how to manipulate people. He knows how to be a populist. Let's just say this. Let's compare it to Putin. It's not a Putin situation. Yeah, it's not democratic there in Russia. Here it's democratic. You just know how to appeal to people's interests.
Democratic my ass. If you are a
Exactly.
Palestinian living in the West Bank, can you vote?
Again,
What again? No, the answer is no.
If you're a Palestinian living in Israel and you make a Facebook post against the Israeli government, whoop, you'll get kidnapped from your house
okay, yeah, I
and
agree.
thrown in jail, in a torture camp, not just in a jail.
It's true
Torture
that
camp, it's,
Israel
I don't know.
It's
Yeah,
true that
because they
Israel
tortured them.
it's
They
true that
tortured
Israel is
animals.
democracy in the sense that you can elect in the elections either Likud or Ben Gvir, or if you want to be really adventurous and a bit extreme, you can vote for Ben Gvir. It's very, very democratic. Such democracy you can also have in Turkey, in Singapore. And by the way, unsurprisingly, Singapore is considered a role model for Israel that Israel wants to imitate. And Singapore is the last country in the world where I want to live.
Wait, who says they want to imitate Singapore?
Bennett?
Bennett is not a. Let's just say this.
And right-wing
He's not an
politicians...
example.
Right-wing politicians...
Who of them is a good example? Bro?
No. Currently,
Show me one of them that's a good example.
He was
That's an exemplary human being.
okay, he was the former prime minister of Israel, I agree. But with 4 mandates to his name, or 5, I don't know how much.
6.
6? Okay, whatever. And they're saying right now he has 20-something. I think it's a lie. I don't think it reflects how people think. So he can think what he
Israeli
thinks.
politicians, particularly from the right wing, often name Singapore as a role model
First
because
time hearing it.
Check.
Genuinely. Okay.
you like to check.
Okay, I'll check. Okay, talk.
Jamie, pull it up.
Jamie,
There is, by the way, the Singapore model, the Singapore plan that Bennett and his party at the time when he won the elections wanted to push forward.
Okay.
And why? Because Singapore, in the Israeli eyes, is like a perfect place where you can have flourishing and blooming economy on the one hand, and complete dictatorship when it comes to freedom of speech. They have there exactly in Singapore more or less one party, and here and there you have 1 or 2 politicians that are elected and are actually. So I'll read it.
I'll read it. Okay. Naftali Bennett basically has an economic plan which says for the following election, which it tries to lower taxes, regulation, and restrictions in order for us to grow the economy and make more jobs, okay? As a model of Singapore, which is basically lowering the taxes for us to grow. That's what he basically said. I don't know, from just
Nice
the...
live translation.
Huh?
Nice live translation.
I'm trying,
that
I'm
was in Hebrew.
trying.
He read it out.
I'm trying.
Because
Thank
they write here only part of the story.
So what is the other story, basically?
You know Singapore. I'm not really telling you any news
I
about
was there.
Singapore.
I was there.
You enjoyed it?
No, it sucked. I mean, I enjoyed it the first 2 nights, and then I wanted to get the hell out of there. It's too fucking hot, and everybody's wearing a suit, and you feel like an idiot wearing a tank top. It was hot and congested
But let's just
and
say...
expensive.
But let's just say this, okay? Let's take the hot take example, Hitler, okay? You can take from Hitler the ability to control a crowd, to be charismatic, to appeal to people's interests, and not take the totality.
I mean, you can take the corn from a piece of shit and it's still shit. You can take out the corn and say, wow, look, what a lovely piece of shit. It has corn, yummy.
But again, from the Singapore concept, it's not the shit part. It's a good part, basically, the economic plan they have. Not the dictatorial
I'm not at all sure. Look.
Okay, I'm hearing.
Look, Singapore is a country that is full of skyscrapers. Everything there is skyscraper. Now, the skyscraper model has very, very problematic implications on the quality of air, on ventilation, particularly in warm climate. It's not really a solution that has no drawbacks whatsoever, even economically. And the idea of giving up
and sticky like Miami, except with no beach.
giving up all the regulations. Also, what exactly does it mean? It means that nobody will take care of the protection of the environment. And I'm telling you that maybe in my eyes, it's more important to protect the forest than to build apartments for families that don't know how to use contraception. By the way, and Singapore also encourages birth because fertility, because the Singaporeans rarely procreate.
They're smart because of it, you think? Not procreating?
I don't know what do you mean by saying smart? Do they speak good English? Yes, they speak English from day one, so they have good English. Are they good in technicalities, and are they good in very mechanic assignments? Yes, they are good. But do you know any Singaporean writer, any Singaporean artist, any Singaporean film, anything cultural that ever came out of Singapore?
Rich.
Nothing.
I know they're rich. Then
they are sitting on an intersection of commerce, and they take commission from anyone who passes in their port. It's a nation of merchants, and they are not exactly offering to the universe any cultural heritage or anything.
Let's just add this to the discussion again. Let's return to the Prime Minister Netanyahu as an anti-Zionist professor.
Yes.
What do you think about Prime Minister Netanyahu?
Should go to prison.
Again, say it.
He should go to prison. The only question is whether this prison should be in Israel because of his felons in terms of bribery and the breach of trust, or he should go to prison overseas as a war criminal. And maybe actually both, partly here, partly there.
Okay, expand upon it.
Go to prison.
Look, he is now requested for arrest by the International Court of Justice in The Hague, and he also stands on trial in Israel. By the way, his wife was already sentenced in Israel, and for
what? I don't remember.
The case where she was trying to take money that was supposed to be used for keeping the house of the prime minister, and she wanted to use it in a way that is not in accordance with the regulations. What we call the lodging case, or in Hebrew, tika me'onot. She was criminalized there. She admitted, and she received a very, very minor verdict. But she's by law criminal offender because she was indicted.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Now, minor offense, but still, this is the family.
I understand. You're saying they're a family of criminals, basically.
Unfortunately.
Allegedly, of course. Yeah, I understand.
Of course, I'm not saying that the crimes they committed, definitely not the wife, are the most damaging thing they did to Israeli society. Because yes, the crime of Sarah Netanyahu in this lodging case was not major. It was a minor thing, but I think by any standard, it's enough that when you are indicted and impeached in such thing, you go home, you don't stay.
Mm-hmm. I understand. Okay, let's return to the discussion of peace. Yeah, do you think there can be a two-state solution between Israel, as both of you are Jewish and both of you are Israelis?
I told you, I think that the Palestinians, from my experience, would accept a two-state solution because at the end of the day, what they want to do is live in peace, raise their families in peace, make masahan,
Let's divide it though. From Yuda
And eat olives every day.
let's
make
divide it though.
meluchia and eat with the family. No, for real.
Let's divide.
Do you like meluchia? Be honest. Honest.
Not my favorite dish.
At last.
Let's divide it though. For Gaza and Yuda and Sumer, the West Bank, is there a difference first of all in terms of peace, wanting peace?
I'm not going to answer because I haven't been to Gaza. I talk about things that I've felt and experienced. So I don't know, man.
So you're saying the Palestinians in West Bank want peace?
Yes, I don't know. Like my only connection to Gaza is I talked to a 17-year-old. Yes, I talked to a minor. I talked to a 17. I talked to a 17-year-old kid that is stuck there. He's from the UAE, but he's Palestinian. I talked to him and I asked him a lot of questions, but that's just one source, and I've never been there myself. Like Hetsroni said, they don't let journalists, international or local, go there unless it's a propaganda tour with IDF.
I would sound utopian. If it was up to me, and it's unfortunately not up to me, the Palestinians would have their own state. And the state of Israel would become European. No Zionism, no Judaism, just like another Switzerland. A bit poorer, and still the landscape will not be so impressive, but maybe the architecture will gradually improve. And maybe about the population, it's a problem, because if genetics is bad, then how can you improve the looks? But I don't know.
That's a problem.
We'll try to do our best. And we joined the EU, and that's the end of the story. That's the end. Because look, let's be honest. I will now say something that may irritate many of your viewers, but the Jewish saga, the Jewish history, is not really a story that is what you call a story of success.
It is.
What is the success? Look, your father ended up as what? As a manual worker in Azerbaijan, and then came the biggest upgrade, manual worker in a factory in Ashkelon.
In Belarus, but
Father.
But it's okay.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter for the fuck
Same. Potato.
Exactly. But I understand what you're saying.
Look, let's imagine two Jews.
Okay, it seems like a good story.
Let's imagine three. I'll be generous. Even though it's not a particularly Jewish trait.
Two Jews.
Just kidding.
Let's imagine two Jews living in Spain in the Middle Ages, and both of them are offered the generous offer of the Inquisition. Cut your Judaism, enough is enough. Not a success story. Now you convert to Christianity, start a new life as a Spaniard, and or say, no, I'm proud to be Jewish, and you go to diaspora and end up eventually in the Ottoman Empire, and from the Ottoman Empire the road is short to Ashkelon. And I'm asking you, who made a better deal? Those who took the generous offer of the Inquisition, or those who or refused?
The generous offer.
Of course. Now let's go forward.
Rationally speaking, yeah?
Of course. Now let's fast forward. The year is 1932. My grandfather Abraham, Saba Avraham, received...
You love him?
No. He receives two offers. Offer number one, go to Palestine, Israel. You receive citizenship or residency, because it was still British mandate, and you can start working there, start your own business. You have to pay for it 50,000 British pounds.
A lot?
By today's... it was 1,000 British pound that by today's that today would be converted into over 50,000
that seems like
shekels.
A lot.
Yes, he paid for this shit. Now, another...
Willingly he did it.
This is why I don't like him.
He's not a rational person, you're saying.
Yeah. And the other offer came from some second cousin of him who immigrated to Sweden a couple of years earlier, and she told him, come to me to Sweden, start a new life in Sweden, but no job permit, only the right to settle down, and later we will see.
But what we will do in the meanwhile?
Everything eventually works out. If grandfather took the generous offer from Sweden, I would now be living in Sweden. I would not have to speak Hebrew. I would not have to see all of those fat girls from Ashkelon. I would not have
fat girls.
I fucking hate Sweden. I was there for a week and a half. Worst country I've ever been.
Worse than Germany?
Yeah, worse than Germany.
Why? Why didn't you?
Terribly cold people, man. Like terribly cold.
It's what I like.
You're an interesting man, you know.
Thank you very much. And I will live all my life without even thinking ever that there is such a place called Ashkelon.
Sweden is so
where-
depressing. So depressing.
Where people from where people from Belarus and Azerbaijan dream of somehow forging documents that show that they are grandchildren
crazy,
to some
though. That's
some
crazy.
Jew in order to settle down where in this architectural nightmare of Ashkelon and eat awful Georgian food and pay for it $100 for dreary dry food. And everybody wait now for our podcast from Ashkelon, from our documentary, actually not a podcast, documentary, A Day in Ashkelon, and you will see the awful food we had there. And I paid everything, nothing that was sponsored.
That's retarded.
In other
shit.
words, my
And she
grandfather.
got free exposure.
Yes, not in other.
And she got like a little young boyfriend. She gave me a kiss, remember?
Oh fuck! What the fuck? That seems messed up.
I raised her up.
So in other words,
That's fucked up.
if we look back at history, we see that Judaism brought us to Auschwitz. Judaism brought us to destroy Gaza. Judaism brought us to do bad things and to suffer. We ourselves suffer. Why on earth
Why
should
are
I?
you staying here? You know, okay, let's just ask the big question.
Okay.
You are anti-Zionist Israeli professor. You are always talking about leaving Israel. Why are you staying in Israel?
Okay, a couple of reasons. First reason, I am lazy. I admit I am lazy. Okay, it's okay to be lazy. I mean, not every people. I'm lazy and sick, 50% disability. You see how sick I am. You see, I barely can walk. This is reason number one. Reason number two, look, you have to have here some sane people or relatively sane people like me who would show the world all the atrocities of
Oh
Zionism.
man, that's a fucking lazy excuse, man. That's a lazy ass
No,
excuse.
he's right. He's resisting from inside.
But he can resist from outside and talk so much about what Israel does from I don't know where. You could do that.
I didn't get the right card. I can blame my father, grandfather,
Nah.
great-great-grandfather, but this is the truth.
You can speak from the internet, do a channel, like I've said to you to do. And like that, you
I
can do
also
it from
told him to
afar.
make it
From afar. Okay, we'll talk about it later. Let's talk about a different subject that interests people.
You can ask
worldwide.
him why he's here. Don't ask him.
What do you mean? In terms of what?
The Salukie, why are you still in the country?
Okay. So you, the Salukie, yeah? Your content creator goes to Palestine, all of that. Why are you still staying in this country of Israel?
Well, I'm mostly in Palestine. I'm mostly in the occupied West Bank. And because my journalism is valuable here, I think that my journalism is a big resistance and a big step towards Palestinian emancipation. And I feel like my presence is needed.
Because you believe there can be a case for two-state solution.
No, like I would prefer a one state. But me personally, I
One
would rather.
state with everyone.
Me personally, I would rather live in Sicily.
So you're saying to me, objectively speaking, you would like a one-state solution with Arabs and all of that, okay? But personally, you would not like to live in Israel
No,
because it is shitty cards. There are shitty cards in here.
it's just not the best place to live. Like, why would I want to live here? I don't feel any.
I mean, where is the food better? In Ashkelon or in Sicily? I remind
Sicily,
you.
of course, no.
Yeah, I mean, like just the quality of life and so many other things. You know, like I love Palestine. I like. I don't know if I love Israeli people, but I get along with them. I could have a life here, but why would I live here when Sicily's around the corner, or Argentina, or so many other places that I've been to in the world that I've been more impressed with? And I'm a skillful person. I can do whatever I want, wherever I want, you know?
Let's raise up the other subject of the ultra-Orthodox people, the Neturei Kartas from, they are one of them, okay? Let's talk about it with you. Let's start with that, the Salukie. You are an Israeli Jew, and you went to the Ultra-Orthodox people, and you met some people from the Neturei Karta. What do you think about them?
I think that they are some of the few Jews that stand for a free Palestine.
Okay, I understand. What do you think about the culture of them? Or what do you think about them as people?
They're just Orthodox Jews, and they happen to believe that we shouldn't build a country in Israel before the Messiah arrives.
Do you think their thought is right?
I think that we shouldn't build not because of some Messiah, but we shouldn't build on top of other people, basically. Like Am Israel Chai, they say Am Israel lives, then Am Israel shouldn't be living on top, al cheshbon Am Acher, on top of another people.
But for you as you personally connect with them because of their thought of free Palestine.
I don't really connect with them. Like, they're okay.
They're okay.
You know, like, I don't have any friends from the Neturei Karta, but like, I'm friendly with them. Like, I'm friendly with everyone, even with people with opposing political views. I'm friendly. I'm a friendly guy, you know?
Let's ask you, Professor, yeah? You are an anti-Zionist Israeli professor, yeah? What do you think about the ultra-Orthodox Neturei Karta?
Look, again, I will compare them to their parallel example in other countries. Compare, let's say, Neturei Karta to Amish. In Amish, you go and they offer you quite delicious food. In Neturei Karta, what you will get awful, very, very fatty kigel. And then you ask yourself, what did I do to deserve it? They are very primitive. There is no charm in them. The fact that maybe their opinion on a very momentary basis is an opinion which is aligns with mine, it's just accidental. We share nothing in common. They are primitive. I mean, what can I say about people who are afraid to even turn on electricity?
You said what I said, just more blatantly. Like, I don't. Just because they support Palestine doesn't mean I'm going to be their friend, you know, like I'm not.
And they're also very segregated.
Not that I think they're primitive or something, like to each his own.
They are very segregated. I mean, I can see Amish people taking part in reality shows. You cannot have Neturei Karta taking part in any reality show. I mean, they lack any charm.
They are pretty online though.
No, they're semi-online. The Amish are, for example, more, I think.
Yeah.
Amish have some charm. It's not my culture. It's not a culture I want to be part of, but I understand the charm. In a Neturei Karta, there is zero charm. Actually, let's be honest. Judaism is a charmless religion because aesthetics-wise, it's very unimpressive. It's very restrictive. It's quite prohibitive, segregated. Nothing charming about it. And now I will give you the buzz part.
I'm with you.
Islam is also a very charmless religion.
So what is a charmist religion?
It's only just wants to have more enemies, I think.
Look,
let's add them to the stack, to the board. Yeah.
Religion, as a rule of thumb, is not something charming in my view. It's an array, a grid of awful, primitive prejudice.
So being secular is sexy.
But if I have to choose, if I have to choose the lesser evil would be probably Protestant Lutheranism.
But
why? Because it's less restrictive. They are less concerned with how you dress. They are less concerned with what you do on Saturday. They are less concerned with what food you eat. They are less concerned about who you fuck and who you don't fuck. They are less concerned with who you date and who you don't date. They are simply a bit less risky,
right? You're an Israeli Jewish person, yeah, and you saw settlers, or you heard stories about settlers were attacking Palestinian people, right? Elaborate
with
on
my
that.
own eyes.
You've seen it on your own eyes. Elaborate on that.
Basically, there are settlers that are doing a campaign of ethnic cleansing where they're trying to get Palestinians to leave their lands and make it more and more Jewish lands. And in many places, they're succeeding, especially in the Jordan Valley, for example.
But aren't the Palestinian people provoking them? By
what? By existing? They simply exist. Like, they come and they burn their mosques and they terrorize their women and they bring their cattle and sheep to graze land that doesn't even exist just to terrify them.
But the Palestinian people don't throw rocks at the settlers?
Maybe they could throw rocks when somebody's coming with a tractor to take down your olive tree. I would also throw a rock at them.
Mm-hmm. You're an anti-Zionist Jew. What do you think about the settlers?
Well, I don't like them. I think they're an obstacle to peace. And I think that they are also masking their true intentions. Let me explain. They tend to present themselves as hardcore ideologists who are there just for the sake of ideology. But between you and me, the vast majority of settlers, around 90%, 80-90% of them, are there because simply it's cheaper to live in the West Bank. Why is it cheaper to live in the West Bank? Because the state is subsidizing their property. They are selling them land cheaply. Manpower for construction is cheaper because they take Arabs from the territories. Actually, they take the Arabs from whom they confiscated the land as their workers. It's like second phase of abuse and colonialism. And eventually, you can buy a villa in the territories for the price of a large apartment, let's say in Rosh Hashanah, mid-size apartment in Petach Tikva, small apartment in Ramat Gan or Givatayim, and nothing in Tel Aviv. It's very simple. The further away you get from the center, from Tel Aviv metro, the cheaper property becomes. And if you want a villa for your family with land, with many rooms, with 200 square meters, most people would not be able to allow it themselves within Israel. So they go to the West Bank. Not to mention that actually land is also so scarce within the borders of Israel, so they don't even get permit to build private small houses. And if they want to have a private house, go to the territories.
But don't you think the sellers have a key role in protecting Israel?
There's also less traffic there
Where?
in the settlements.
Yeah, but if they go to work in the center, then they are eventually stuck in traffic. This is actually the problem you don't solve.
Oh. Some will tell you I moved because of traffic. I've heard that one before.
Right-wing people say that.
By the way, very often you see them working for the public sector in the West Bank. In other words, you see them in professions such as a clerk in the city council, a teacher. Many of them are religious, so they take like religious jobs that between you and me are not really needed, like mashgiach kashrut, like the caretaker of kashrut in the settlement or things like
Important.
that. So very important. So you actually first you take the land from the Arabs. Then you hire those Arabs whose land has been confiscated. You hire them as construction workers and pay them shitty money. Then you subsidize the land and sell those settlers cheap houses. And on top of all of that, you also offer them work that is not really needed in order for them to sustain and be able to.
But just to elaborate about the settlers, right?
Yes.
People are saying that the settlers have a key role in protecting Israel against the Palestinian people in Judah and Samaria, for example, yeah? What do you think about it? And the West Bank, what do you think about it?
I think they're just making it worse for Israelis.
Really?
Yeah, because they're just stealing more land and they're making more hate.
But they are protecting from possible attack of Palestinians.
How? By being there?
By being there.
How does that help? It doesn't make sense to me.
It's a border of control for the Israelis. In a person which is very, very in the art of war, the mountains itself are important for us.
Mountains. You know what? The highest elevation, the highest summits come up to. I think the top is Bal Chatzor mountain, call it mountain, small hill, 1,014 meters. And most of the so-called mountains there are like 600, 700, not more. And the hills where they live are, of course, much less. Like, 400, 500, 350. So to say that this is a hurdle that you cannot surpass and you cannot cross, you make it an Alps, you make it something that is Himalaya. My dear, it's just idiotic farunkel in the land of, in an ugly land. And what else can
But it's a strategic.
It's a zitz.
No,
it's a zitz in the
Israel is a zitz.
Israel is a zitz.
But I'm saying that it's a strategic land for Israel to have and to control.
What can be strategic in a small piece of hill that comes up to 222 meters above sea level?
Exactly, because Israel is narrow in its size. So it's a border of control to some extent within its narrowness.
You know how much time it takes me, being totally not fit, to climb those hills? I climb each hill there in half an hour, more or less.
Yes.
And just imagine how much it would take me to climb if I was in shape. Yes. Look, if you really want to have some security forces there, it's not out of the question to momentarily place their military troops, but to build villages, cities, what for? What sense does it
doesn't
make?
make sense. It doesn't make sense. Like to say, I'm going to put Jews here so that there'll be less attacks by Palestinians on Jews. But you're putting more Jews for them to attack, aren't you?
I understand. Let's talk about...
Where did you last visit those territories, if I may ask?
The Samaria?
Yes.
I was with... It's a funny story. I visited for Roy Yosevich in Ariel. And that's it. Nothing more than that.
Okay, and you got the impression that it's a very tough, barricade that is very difficult to trespass. This is the impression you got.
As me as an Israeli from the Israeli border, it's not. It's very easy to pass it.
Okay, so why do you?
So why I'm saying
suggest otherwise?
Because generals in the army are saying it's a border of control and it's important for the settlers to be there for strategic control over the Palestinians. Like Gershon HaKohen, for example.
The man is politically affiliated. I don't know about...
Is it more of a leftist?
Financing. No, leftist. Gershon HaKohen.
In terms of... Okay, continue.
He's part of the what we call bitchonistim in Hebrew,
yes.
like the security think tank. I don't know who is financing him or not financing him but for sure politically he is affiliated with right wing. So what if he's a general? Okay.
Okay, let's go to the final topic.
By the way,
because
I know very few generals in Israel who are currently living and active in politics who have any memorable military success in their record. I mean, gone are the days when Israeli generals managed to conquer land and to win wars. I mean, the generals who are now with us and politically active are generals who were serving in the military when, in the second, for example, Lebanon war, complete failure. When did they serve? What is their record, again, for goodness sake?
But again, because there weren't big wars in the meanwhile.
But all of these wars were, in hindsight, quite failure.
And you're talking about the second Lebanon war, the first Lebanon war, you can say that.
These are the people that you are listening to and worship and take their words as the truth in its face value. No.
But again, in a broader sense, they are the best we got.
Maybe it's about time to import generals from overseas.
With more experience, you're saying. Okay.
With better experience and better record, yes.
Let's talk about the final topics because our brain's fried already, I think. Okay. I know you probably will not answer because you don't want to, and that's okay. Maximum you can add if you want to. Professor Hetsroni, you're anti-Zionist and you saw me having the discussion with Destiny. What do you think about Destiny?
Wow.
He can talk.
No, I can talk, but I have nothing
extra to add.
I just wanted to say,
I mean, I don't think that the guy is he's not the most imaginative person in the world. He's also not the worst. He's an okay person. I mean, what can I say about it? I have nothing to say about him.
He's a Chad.
Maybe I didn't look at his body. I don't care.
I understand. Okay.
No, I just wanted to say I would rather not comment on individuals that I haven't met. I haven't met Destiny, but I will say he can talk.
He can talk.
That's why Fabricant said you probably don't want to answer these questions.
I think that he didn't finish his academic studies.
Probably. He's a gamer. He's a gamer for like more than 15
I mean, for
years.
somebody who started...
You have your Xbox open. so am I. I play CS.
For a person who studied in, if I'm not mistaken, Nebraska. He studied in Nebraska, or am I mistaken?
Who, Destiny?
I think Nebraska.
Man, how the fuck does he know that?
Check it. Somebody who studied in Nebraska and started as broadcasting in Twitch is gaming. I think that he made some progress in his life.
Let's see. Yes, Destiny did study in Nebraska, attending University of Nebraska Omaha. And he pursued music before dropping out to manage work, growing up in Omaha, Nebraska, making it central to his early life and education. Okay. Cool. How the fuck do you do those research? I don't fucking know. But okay, expand. Okay, if you want to. That's it. If you don't.
That's it. I mean, again,
What do you think about Professor Hetsroni? What do you think about Nick Fuentes?
I don't know him well enough.
You don't know him well enough. Okay. Myron Gaines. Do you have something to comment about
I
Myron
understand that he's considered anti-Semite, or am I mistaken?
Gaines? Some people attribute it to him.
Why?
Because he's very anti-Jewish people. And therefore people are saying...
What
because
is his significance to the world, if I may ask?
he basically had one of the biggest dating podcasts in the world called Fresh and Fit. He was a part of the Red Bull movement of Andrew Tate and all of that. And
I know. I'm asking you a rhetoric question. Why on earth is it important? What does the
What are some
US
Red Bull,
mainland USA version of Andrew Tate thinks about Israel or thinks about the war in Gaza? Why on earth is it important? Maybe you have to take from him advice about dating young Russian women.
Yeah,
maybe.
why don't you ask someone more credible, like Noam Chomsky, for example?
wow, what do Professor Hetsroni thinks of him?
Yeah, like somebody, Ilan Pape, Noam Chomsky, who gives a fuck about Myron?
How many followers does this Myron have?
A lot.
More than Chomsky.
It's hard to
Define follower, maybe followers on Instagram.
it's
but
hard to estimate that, because Noam Chomsky doesn't have an official Instagram from what I'm remembering. Yeah, okay, so I think we stop the podcast.
But look, Noam Chomsky for sure managed
you
to
got
prove
cooked with my comments.
that he can live a very long life. This Myron Gaines, this Myron Gaines has not proven anything so far, other than he knows how to manipulate women in dating. Allegedly manipulating women when he's taking them to a date in a bar, and they have in a poshy bar, and he takes them eventually to McDonald's.
No, he doesn't do that probably, but I understand.
By the way, you know what else is very typical of all of these successful podcasters? Very low production values. They don't, like the Salukie, he goes to Palestinian territory, he tries to do documentary.
Crazy.
There is a lot of there is a lot of production there.
And
high production.
sacrifice of
Yes,
potential life.
and all of these people, what do they do? Nothing. Including
No
even this
production.
Charlie Kirk. He sits there, come talk to me. Okay. I think that Israel is great. What do you think? You think otherwise. Okay, let me tell you, Israel is an amazing place. What do you know?
But it works, so who gives a flying fuck?
Maybe it's about time that we at least aspire to make a more nuanceful, more artistic creation on YouTube, and not just stick to these very, very low rate productions.
Sneeko did both.
What?
Nico did both, yeah.
Sneeko is a content creator who also did the artistic stuff. He worked with Kanye West also, but also...
Kanye West doesn't sound artistic to me. Do you have somebody who worked with Tarantino, somebody who worked with Fellini, Bertolucci, I don't know, somebody, Woody Allen? Why do you bring me all of these people that eventually dropped out of primary school? Where did you find them?
They're very...
With the exception of Shapiro. Shapiro finished law school, I know.
But again, I would like to live the life of Kanye West until 2016, probably for every day of the week. Probably. He lived a fucking crazy life.
I'm happy with the...
Charlie
what I
Kirk,
have.
Charlie Kirk also didn't graduate, if I recall correctly. He did not graduate.
We are
He did not
Charlie
graduate. He left to establish a movement. The man doesn't have a degree. In Hebrew we say, אין לו תואר, אין לו סיכוי. No degree, no chance.
He briefly attended...
Briefly, dropping out. These are the examples that you want to adopt.
No, but no, let's just say this.
No.
I think academia is dying, and we are a part
And
of it.
the future is
saying that to a
Kirk and Myron
professor, yeah.
Gaines. This is the future, and Andrew
No,
Tate.
fuck. Okay, let's just say this. I'm gonna do it my own way.
And Chatzbani. Chatzbani.
Give to the comments. That's crazy. Okay, let's finish with that high note. Thank you very much, Professor Amir Hetsroni.
Where's Chatzbani today?
I'll tell you after the podcast. He's up in the sky. Okay.
Professor Amir Hetsroni.
Close. And also the Salukie, Amir
Thanks, mate.
Amiaz, Ido Amiaz, thank you very much. I appreciate you, my brother. And yeah, I was here, Moshe Fabricant, Ido Amiaz, aka the Salukie. You can follow him on the fucking YouTube and Instagram and all of that. And if you're Professor
not available.
and Professor Amir Hetsroni, I appreciate you as well. You can follow him on all social media. Thank you very much. Thank you. Bye bye.